Welcome back to another episode. I'm Sarthak. I'm a software engineer at Amazon.
I'm Soumya. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft.
Yeah, and the big news is that my company has called me back to office for 5 days a week, starting next year. Let's give them that credit. They were happy enough that, spend your holidays in peace and then come back to office.
But do you really have peace when you actually know the news? So all of December, you're like, oh damn, January se pass din.
Yeah, I mean, it's a change for sure. Not kind of expected it. I think Amazon was also the company that shifted to hybrid with like a huge announcement.
Yeah.
So this is the thing with Amazon, they don't do anything quietly.
Yeah.
They're going to announce it. Even this posting, they posted it on the public internet. Okay. And they're like, if you work for us, then you come back and work for us 5 days. Like, it did not even come as a private email. It was like sent out to the world.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good approach. It's like a transparent culture and all that you can.
But it is also funny to be reading about your own job on the internet before you know it yourself. Like, did it happen? Like, did somebody text you, hey Sarthak, I heard you have to go back 5 days a week before you actually knew it
Fortunately,
yourself?
no. A couple of colleagues did text me before I actually found out about it. So it came in my midnight, and I woke up and I already had messages from my colleagues that, hey, check this out 5 days a week from next year. So it was a surprise. And it caused so much buzz in Amazon ki there's an internal website we have where this stuff gets posted that crashed for a while. Like
Really?
so many people were, hitting it at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is AWS really that scalable? Not scalable at all.
We're not going there. AWS is scalable, but we're not doing that debate. This is not an episode about that. Okay, this is an episode about work from office. We don't touch that subject.
But either way, before we talk about work from office and stuff, how are you feeling about that?
I mean, I have mixed feelings. Okay, and they are mixed basically because I've gotten used to work from home. I like the flexibility of it and all that. But for me, work from office is a very troubled decision. It's not like I'm against it, but it's not like I'm fully for it.
Yeah.
And that is a conversation I think everyone is having with everyone, right? So let's trace it back. No, I want to talk more about this.
Yeah.
So did you have work from home? Like I started work in 2017.
Yeah.
And I did a considerable chunk of work from office. What about you?
So I started in 2019. 2018 was like a 2-month internship, which is like, either way, it's fun. So 2019 is when I started working full time, and 2020, mid of 2020, start of 2020 is when it all went down, and you had this work from.
So you had like 8 months of.
Yeah, almost
office,
like
right?
8 to 10 months. And before that, I think Microsoft did have a policy of like taking work from home, but the idea behind that was like different, right? Like people used to think taking work from home is like, I used to take work from home on the days like where I had to run maybe some errands or, I just wanted to chill for a bit. I didn't want to work that hard. So work from home was kind of like a pseudo rest day.
It was not really considered a way to work.
It was not a way to work. It was just sort of a leeway, right? That you can take work from home days, but you are expected to be in the office. I think this conversation did not happen before the pandemic, right? The norm to work from home.
So true. I did 3 years of work from office, almost 3.5 years actually. And my company had no such policy of work from home. And I was not in Amazon at that time.
Yeah.
I was in Zoho. And there we didn't even have, tools to actually do the meeting. Every meeting was offline because Zoho is mostly centered here.
Yeah.
The few meetings we had cross zones, of course, they were on online software.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we had like no software presence at all.
Yeah.
How was the case for you? Did you have online meetings for local time zone meetings?
I don't think so. I mean, there were also, like, I was based out of Bangalore. We had some people who worked out of Hyderabad, right? So you would obviously meet over Teams for those meetings. But even then, like, if there was like a big design discussion or anything, people would just fly to Hyderabad because it's just easy.
Right?
It's just easier in person. Cross time zone, obviously, it's always going to happen online.
Like, were they ever conducted online? Let's say if one person is work from home before pandemic.
Yeah.
Were you doing stand-ups in online, or you just forget that person?
You kind of forgot that person. You're like, okay. Oh, this person is working from home. The manager would probably be like, they would probably like sync with them later, or that person would just post updates offline, right? But there were very few meetings. Like if that person is really needed in that meeting, then yes, of course you would call them over Teams.
But stand-ups,
it was just like, if you're not in office, we'll just forget that you exist today.
That has changed so much, no? Like,
I know.
Because now if someone is missing, we make it a point to, go to a conference room and make sure that we dial up the meeting so that they can join online. So that hybrid work has really shown the difference from the first one. Our dog is going bonkers here, so please ignore that. So yeah, coming back to topic.
Yeah.
So things like this, these are what I feel we're going to lose actually. The flexibility has become so much ingrained in people.
Yeah.
But now they're calling us all back, so they want to go to pre-pandemic situations.
Yeah.
Still don't know how that will work out.
So I think we should talk about benefit. I think there are both pros and cons, right? Pros have been that especially during on-calls, I think doing on-calls from work from home is way easier than, traveling to office the whole time during that cab ride. You're worried I should not get a F2. And it's just easier, right? Because you're either way pushing a lot during on-calls. So it's just easier to do it from home. But on the other side, you're losing the collaborative aspect of it, right? Like, at least I remember when I was onboarding and I was supposed to start doing DRIs and stuff, I used to be in office and I used to watch other people what they're doing, right? And at that point, at least from my personal experience, my whole team was new, right? So it would be like one person was on call and there are 4 people around that person's desk and we're all just trying to solve the same issue and everybody got to learn together.
Yeah.
I think those kind of experiences can only happen in office on the other hand, right? And there are way more examples that we can think on the situation. So it comes with its own pros and cons.
I totally agree. But do you think some of these pros are not that big pros, but some of these cons are like huge cons? Because I remember getting in 3 days a week, there have been a couple of times when I have to park the car and, actually solve the step 2 or at least look at it, check in there to see what is happening. That I feel like is going to be a very big problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how people are going to cover for it. So I actually never did on-call at a long commute before. So how was your experience? Like, have you done this? Have you done on-call in cabs or traveling before?
Yeah, I mean, when I just started out, I think my first or second on-call, I was on the way to office. And at least in my company, I get the privilege of that there is transportation. Somebody else drives me to office. But if you're driving yourself...
At that time, you didn't know driving anyways. I wanted to get that on the record.
I still don't know. I'm still not a great driver.
Yeah, you're a terrible driver, but go on.
And suddenly we're talking about my driving skills here. But either way, coming back to topic.
I'm so glad we got that on the record. Okay. Go ahead.
So like I was saying, I have the privilege that somebody else drives me to office. So either way, if I get an issue, I can just open my laptop and start looking at it. But if you're driving yourself, being stuck at a maybe Cubbon Park signal and you get a F2 in the middle, what are you gonna do? Right?
I know, right?
It's just so frustrating as a person. So those kind of things, I don't know. It's just hard. Yeah.
And what do you think about your productivity at office? So that's something we should need to classify. Is it better? Is it less?
It has reduced drastically actually.
Okay.
So I used to be productive in office because that I think earlier my brain only knew that mode of being productive, right? That even in office I need to find focus time and get some code out, and then post lunch would be mostly my collaborative hours and those kind of things. But now my in-office days are because I don't step out much when I'm working from home, right? When I go to office, I just realize that so much of my social battery gets consumed just talking to people and, just catching up and doing all that collaborative stuff. I don't think I'm able to focus anymore because I've gotten so used to my home office setup. The chair fits perfectly at my neck and my whole setup, right? I'm suddenly not able to focus anymore because that environment is just not peaceful.
Yeah.
That is how I feel. What about you?
I totally agree, and I think you nailed it with that line that before 2020, I was okay with work from office productivity because I didn't know better. But now that I have tasted the productivity I get from work from home,
exactly.
Yes, it did require some discipline. I did end up overworking at the start and also underworking at some parts, right? But once I reached that peak point where, you know, I was able to understand that this is how I need to do. I have this schedule. It's like I have tasted blood now. Right, and going back to office, just like, you know, I can't believe the amount of productivity I lose when I'm coding at home. Granted, I do get other things done. It's easier for me to mentor people. It's easier for me to code review.
Exactly.
Right? I can just talk then and there and get things resolved. I don't have to wait for them to call, because catching people on online calls is definitely hard.
Definitely.
And I'll tell you my genuine experience of 50% of call. I'll ping them. Okay, we'll talk. I'll tell them, can we get on a call? Silence for 5 minutes. Okay, then after 5 minutes, because they probably were texting me from phone. Okay, and because I have also done that, right? So after 5 minutes, they'll get yes, of course. Like they'll just pretend that delay was not there. Then we'll get on a call. We'll start talking. After I'll start explaining something, and after 2 minutes, it'll be like, hey, your screen is not visible.
Oh, you skipped over the part where, like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then the frantically texting me, like, can you hear me?
And then there's this one situation where one side can hear and the other side cannot, and then you get to hear their real side, and they'll be like, "Abhay yaar, phir se awaaz." Right, so many issues, right? And the ultimate favorite, you're explaining this complicated point, okay, and you think like you've nailed it now, and then you are expecting a response and nothing comes, and then you go check the call and they have dropped off due to bad internet.
And to add to that, you're explaining, and somebody had asked you a question and you're like full focus in explaining. 5 minutes later, that person says, "Hey Soumya, if you're speaking, you're on mute."
I know, right? Yeah. So that's definitely a frustrating experience. There's no denying it. So that definitely happens better in office for me. Right. So, so that part is where the trade-off is, and I think only time will tell whether I'm losing the good parts or I'm losing the parts that are still manageable. Right.
I want to ask you a controversial question at this point, right? Because we were discussing productivity from work from home, and obviously that has been better for us. Do you think companies who are calling employees back to office are kind of expecting productivity levels of work from home even when employees are back in office?
That is a controversial question, I would say. Okay, but some of them might. Like, I don't think it's on a company level. I don't think companies are thinking on that level. But some managers might. Right. So, and that's where I think there will be the pain of this transition will originate from. So companies, I think, are thinking more from the perspective of, if I'm losing this and gaining this, is it worth it? Right. Like, I totally believe that training new people has been a disaster in work from home. Right. They feel detached from the company. They feel detached from the code base, the issues you face, the adrenaline rushes and everything, just the whole team building. So I think companies are weighing those kind of options and deciding. But the point you say is definitely valid for managers in those companies. Not every manager will align with that vision. And they might still expect that, hey, last year my team delivered this much, this year they only delivered this much, So definitely a call out to managers to keep that in mind when this transition happens. I think good managers will again, but I don't know. What do you think? Answer your own question.
No, I think you did summarize it correctly. I don't think companies are thinking from that perspective. You're right there. But I think it's a human error that managers might make. That's a very good call out, and I totally agree with that. I don't think I have any more to add. Perfect answer.
So, from a fresher's perspective, okay, now that we mentioned that it is easier to train, young people or bring them into the fold, get them up to speed. Do you think as a fresher right now there are companies out there who have committed to the hybrid model, and there are companies out there who have committed to work from office model. So if I'm a fresher, it is already tough to get a job. But if I have to choose, whether should I go into a hybrid model or should I go into a work from office model, what do you advice would be to these people?
I think as a fresher, it doesn't matter much.
Okay.
Your career, your learning experience matters much. I would say, actually as a fresher, no, I changed my stance actually.
Okay.
I think as a fresher, work from office is more beneficial because you're just starting out. You need to be around senior engineers and people who can guide you, who can set that work ethic for you, who can teach you. And I think that learning experience is kind of like it's a big pro of the work from office model, right? Because you get to just bond with more people and you can ask questions then and there. Otherwise you're stuck in the team Slack loop of like, can you hear me? Do you have some time to talk? And I have personally experienced this. Like I have had freshers join in my team, and I know that I want to commit to spending time with them and I want to commit to like, answering their questions, but it's just harder to do it remotely. Like if they were in office with me, I would probably, we could have a conversation over lunch and a lot of their questions would get cleared. But now I have to find time in my schedule. They have to keep pinging me unnecessarily. So I think, work from office does help there. What do you think?
I do agree on the overall point, but I have a different view from it. Okay, so I do agree that work from office as a fresher definitely helps you, especially if you're looking to learn. But my view of it is like this. So good senior engineers will teach you no matter the platform. Even from work from a home, they will put in the effort to get you onboarded.
Are you calling me a bad senior engineer?
No, I'm not. Okay, I never said that. Okay, but
no, I'm just messing with you.
Okay, so I lost my chain of thought because of you. Okay, coming back to it. Okay, but the thing is, a lot of senior engineers, either they won't have the time sometimes to commit that extra and work from home, or sometimes they're just not good at communication. They're very highly skilled, but that communication aspect, the human aspect of mentoring is sometimes missing. And as a junior, you have to fill that sometimes to get that knowledge out of them, right? I have done it multiple times. I have had seniors who have been eccentric geniuses, but so bad at conversations, right? So, but I have been able to get them and, played my part and get it there. That is definitely easier in work from office conversations.
I think that's right. And I think one advice to at least freshers here would be that if you do have senior engineers who you're not able to meet in person, at least one thing I used to do, and this was not like work from home, work from office, it was just to learn from people who were remote, right? I used to summarize all my questions at the end of the day and I would just drop them a ping, hey, you can answer this at your own time, but these are all the questions I have, and I would just like drop them point by point questions of like what I wanted to ask them. And that would mostly help, right? So things like that I think can still help freshers.
Yeah, definitely I agree.
Yeah.
So wow, there's so much to talk about work from office. What else do you have?
So I did want to talk about, I think freshers was a good point. I did want to talk about how work from office has actually helped more of senior people, right?
It hasn't. Let's move on.
No, it has, right? I mean, I'm not talking about from a work perspective. I'm talking about people who are married, who have kids to raise, right? I think they actually really like work from home, right? Those are the real people who you are kind of like giving them the benefit. Because I think as a working mother or as a working parent, it's kind of easier to work from home when your kids come back from school. You're just there to, take care of them and stuff. Those kind of things are hard, man. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I said I think for senior engineers, that family aspect has definitely been impacted by work from office. That's what I hear from a lot of my senior folks also. I think one thing to note here though is like they did work a lot of time in work from office situation also before pandemic. So I think for them also it's the same thing. They have gotten a taste of it. That they can still be the same thing but still get time to drop their kid off to school, take them up from school and all that. So I think that's the same situation again. They have the taste for it now and they feel like that's just a better
But I would say when you have to prioritize things, I think those are the experiences that companies should prioritize. That you're keeping your employee happy. They're able to take care of their family in a much better way than they were able to do before the pandemic.
I think that ultimately comes down to comfort and happy employee. Comforted and happy employee will perform better. Will give more time. And it's all about trust there.
It's all about trust, and I guess like that's also a very idealistic viewpoint to have. But at least I want to be a ray of sunshine in the world.
And I still feel like that model is still achievable. And hopefully once we see now, so there's always a reaction to stuff, right? We went extreme of work from home. Now we're rubber banding to work from office. Hopefully when the dust settles, we arrive at hybrid, which I personally believe is one of the better ways, right? Like in a complicated situation like this, it's always best to cut the difference.
Exactly.
And retain the and I'm not even talking about a hybrid model which is company enforced. I think hybrid model which is team enforced
is the best.
Is the best, right? It should not be individual imposed because then it's the same as like work from home. Like if I go to office and nobody else is there, it's like why did I come here, right? Maybe it should be team enforced.
Yeah.
Some loose guidelines from the company maybe.
Yeah.
But that I think is a model I want the dust to settle on.
I totally agree with that. Like, company could say like you maybe do 60% work from office, 40% work from office, but which days you want to come to office, how you want to come to office, that could totally be on the team. My team was trying this model in between the pandemic because I think we've also realized that even 100% work from home is not the best for a thriving work culture, right? We just talked about that, right? My team was trying this in the middle where we wanted to set some core hours where we would do meetings and stuff, right? And that we kind of agreed it could be 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. where everybody would be around and you could meet as a team. Did not last very long because it's hard to enforce that remotely. So eventually I think hybrid is the way to go.
And I still believe though, like if you're doing work from home, the onus is on you more to communicate when you're available for the day, because otherwise it just becomes a frustrating experience, right? It's a collaborative job. No matter how much of an individual contributor you are, you will need to talk to people in this job, right? And if they're not there on the other side, it's just again a frustrating experience.
It's a very frustrating experience.
So people should definitely do better in communication there. And that's what I would say to the work from home, leaders who want like the whole industry to be work from home. Like just please focus on putting these values forward, that if you're working from home, do it like diligently, and don't make a mess of it. Like don't take advantage of it. That's one of the biggest reasons I think we are having work from office back. So let's see how that works out.
I guess so. And good luck to you. Suffering 4 hours of traffic every day.
Still 1/4 of 3 days a week. So before I go to 5 days a week. But I'm looking forward to it now that I've like disagreed and committed to it. It's a leadership principle. If
your leadership principles.
Hey, they're good, okay?
They are. I agree with that.
Cool. All right. That was a nice talk. Any closing comments?
I think I'm good. I like my hybrid model very much.
Let's hope Microsoft keeps it, because it is always possible that this now generates a wave of work from office requests.
Please don't do this.
Let's see where it goes.
Please do not do this to me.
Alright, cool. Thanks for joining us. Do like, share, subscribe, and comment your views on work from office and anything else you want us to cover. Right. See you later. Bye bye.